I think we can rule out suicide.
How so?
You're standing on his pancreas. Dredd glanced down at his feet and the sticky brown-red smear beneath his boot. He grunted an apology and stepped back closer to the door. Part of the organ came with him, leaving a thin trail across the carpet. He felt awkward and impatient at a crime scene, surplus to requirements, perhaps. After the initial adrenaline rush of discovering the body, there was little he could do but wait for the med and tech teams to finish their work, and he was finding it difficult knowing where to place himself. He slid to one side as a pair of auxiliaries squeezed through with a stretcher. It was doubly hard with the room sprayed as it was with viscera. There seemingly wasn't a surface or item of furniture that hadn't been spattered by the contents of the victim's gut, his torso sliced open from gullet to navel. He was sitting back in his chair by the window, waxy and stiff like a hollowed-out anatomist's model, the gore fanning around him. It had dried dark and textured on the walls and ceiling, seeped into the floor. The stench was ripe.
"You couldn't have ingested a micro-explosive?"
Dredd asked, watching as MacCready trod delicately around the corpse, shining a torch into its face and stomach cavity, poking matter with the end of his pen.
"Unlikely, I know, but I've heard of it being used before as a means to an end."
"No," MacCready replied, shaking his head as he continued his inspection. "No scorch marks, no residue to suggest that. He wasn't blown open from the inside. He was stabbed repeatedly. The cuts suggest a bladed weapon, kind of a frenzy killing, to have caused these kinds of wounds and this amount of trauma." He straightened up. "I'd say you were looking at either a maniac or a creep making a point. And then," he added, nodding at the far wall, "there's that." Dredd followed his gaze to the symbol painted in blood. It had been slapped on hurriedly, with little finesse, and much had dribbled down onto the sofa beneath it, so its intended design was not easy to discern. The letters ICU had been blobbily added underneath. "A gang tag?" MacCready offered.